from the village to the airbase, when you go in, what were the differences?
It's a direct contrast, is when you go into the base, everything is organized, orderly. Uh, the trees are well pruned, the grass are trimmed, the drains are, you can hardly see a drain without slabs, cements, all cemented. Uh, Running waters were clear, rain waters, and there's no very little footpath. The footpath is probably the one I've seen within the Seletar wheel where locals, the civilians used to stay, to take shortcuts, they create footpath. But within the base itself, there's no footpath. It's very organized, and I don't think so there's any very well kept. And they used to have this RAF police patrolling the area. So I think discipline was there. But on the contrast, Jalan Kayu was a bit chaotic, I would say, a bit disorganized. Uh, we had less early days, less asphalt roads, more footpath, slippery roads. But the uniqueness of Jalan Kayu is its character. And the character comes alive every Friday night when the Friday night market is set up.
Mm.
So that is unique. And every Sunday we will have all these um snake charmers, other hawkers, all those vendors coming and exhibiting the products, the circus. Um, so we have that. So that's a bit unique because they can't have that within the base. They can have it outside. So in terms of infra layout, RF Seletar was different. But in terms of character, Jalan Kayu was unique in that respect.
Mm. Was the Friday because that's when the servicemen will book out?
No, the servicemen, I'm not sure about the singles. I'm sure they have a curfew hours for them to go back to, but there's no restriction for them to book out married and singles used to come outside when the Friday market is set up. And, normally after 7, it's all lighted up and it's just a gayful event and everybody's people from even Yuchkang far off from Jalanka used to come, even from Serangan Gardens. The RA person was staying there used to come down there and walk around and absorb the atmosphere, buy a few products. Yeah.
Was this what we would now call a pasar malam, or was
Yes,
this
yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
We call it Pasar Malam, but those days it happens on a Friday, so we call it Friday night market,
mm,
Pasar Malam, yeah.
right.
But I can't see today's Pasar Malam
No.
matching no, the vibrance and the joyfulness of that. Everyone were looking forward to it. It only happens on a Friday.
Right. You definitely didn't have the snake charmer, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the magician and all.
Magic show, huh?
Magic show. Yeah, we had magic shows.
You were telling me earlier that at some point you began working in uh, Seletar
RAF
itself.
Seletar, yeah.
Tell us about that. How did that happen?
See, those days, getting a job was not as, I don't know, as easy as now. But now after my studies, I was offered a job in RAF Seletar. Someone came to me, say, there's an opening for you. Would you like to take the job? Will you take any job? So I said, okay. I need to keep myself occupied. I'll take any job given to me. So I started in area Seletar in a place known as 389 MU maintenance unit. I was just a 17-year-old kid and worked in this place in a heavy equipment section. And I was more of a office boy. They're trying to settle me in. They say, okay, you just join us and just run errands for us. So I said, okay, not a problem. It keeps me occupied. Then from there, there was an opening for me to go for an interview and get a job at 390 MU, which is the largest maintenance unit outside of the UK and United Kingdom, working on aircraft components. You repair, you test it, you certify it. And I was working there for a couple of years. And then from there, when the British started to withdraw from this region, from our side of the East of Suez, I was transferred to Tengah for a while. Then when RSAF started their own Air Force, SADC, then known as SADC, I was offered a job. So I just switched camp and joined them.
Right.
So I spent about 4 years with the RAF. And that's where my affinity towards RAF group started.
So,
But they also
right. So
thought
sorry.
about
So initially it was 389 MU, and then later on
that.
390.
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Go on, please.
389. Sorry, 389 MU was more of a storage area. All the aircraft parts, spares, aircraft spares, and heavy vehicles. They all kept there, and very minor maintenance in the heavy vehicle. But whereas 390 MU is basically a maintenance unit where they repair aircrafts, aircraft components, and aircraft engines, aircraft propellers, and helicopters.
And at 390, you were also doing similar work, or the work changed?
Oh, the work changed, more technical, became very technical. So I worked on them.
So how did you get this technical background? Was it in secondary school or?
No. I mean, we didn't have any tech subjects during our school. There's no IT and all that.
Right.
It's all hands-on. It's hands-on. Yeah, you read yourself. You go for an interview. Yeah, I think they just tested my aptitude and all. Simple questions, here and there you read up, you answer them. They give you the job, and then you pick up, on your own.
Just pick up on your own.
Yes.
Was there a master that you learned from?
I wouldn't say the particular master. I mean, there were a few supervisors. They were all British personnel. The supervisors were certain. If we are doing a certain maintenance or component repair or a component, the supervisor. And then when you're doing a testing of the equipment in a test environment, there's another supervisor. But basically, they don't. They just give you the books and they read up. If you've got problems, you go back to them. And I was quite fortunate that I was able to do that without disturbing them too much.
So you have some kind of aptitude for technical work.
Probably. I also did mess up a few things on the way, but I learned through my mistakes as well.
Right. Did you have an interest in technical in your childhood?
Yeah, I like to fiddle with things, but I'm not so sure whether that could be the hidden or the latent interest or not. But if you really think that what is my interest, I prefer to be a horticulturist than an aircraft maintenance man.
Because did your father influence you in any way? He was a driver and.
No, he used to repair his one motorbike.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, he had a Chinese friend. So he had those days they had two particular brands. One was three, Norton, and BSA. I don't know, be a British standard, I can't remember what the full description is for the abbreviation. But he and his friend had this BSA motorbike and they will share notes and repair. And I was a curious onlooker, can just look but cannot touch.
I want to ask you, Charlie, how was it working for the British?
I did learn quite a few things from them in terms of management skill, in terms of standards, type of standards, they expect. Although it happened many, many years ago, And they were humble as well. They did not have any chip on their shoulder. In fact, two particular incidents I learned from them, which I always carried with me through my career. One was standard,
Mm.
and I was working in this as a kid. I was working in this 390 MU. I was still 17 years plus. So, and that was during the time there was a bit of confrontation period. Still a spillover of confrontation, and the RAF were to deploy water tanks and all that to Malaysia. And I was given a task to clean up a water tank. I can't remember exactly. It's about 3 feet in length, maybe more than that, 4 feet to 5 feet in length. I can't remember the actual volume of it. So this particular warrant officer, he saw the conflict in Suez Canal. He was there when they had this conflict there, and he came down and he called me up and he says, "That's where my name came. Charlie." The RF, they couldn't pronounce my name, so they said, "What's your name?" And I spelled my name. And they said, "No, no, 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 spell again." So I said, "CH." Okay, we'll call you Charlie. But that was not to do with work, but to do with sports. So he got stuck there. So they said, "Okay, Kit." They call me Kit. They're going to clean this, and after you have cleaned, come with a cup of water. So I said, "Okay." I cleaned. I took a cup of water and gave it to him. Uh, I'm now 75. It happened to me when I was 17. So remember how many years, you can just minus, do the sums. I gave it to him. I said, "Chief, here's the water." He said, "You drink it." I said, "Why should I drink it? If you say it's clean, then you should be able to drink it. So I did not drink it. I went back, I cleaned it again. The second time I took a cup of water, I went to him, said, "You drink it again." I drank it. Then he said, "If you want something to be done, you must be satisfied. The standard must be there." I've seen this in Suez Canal problems. Is that understood? He was in his middle age then,
Mm.
can't remember his name now, but that gentleman taught me that particular experience. Until today, I share with my friends, I share with my even grandchildren that if you do something, do it to the best of your ability. And you must be religious. That's one. The other one that I learned is humility, being humble. And there was this RAF corporal. You can edit all these, and I'm just sharing
No,
this
I'm not going
about
to. Go
British.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, the British, how they were. And he asked me one day, during lunchtime, he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "No, nothing. I'll just wander here, wander there, loitering, nothing to do during lunchtime." He said, "Can you help me?" I said, "Yeah, what do you want?" He said, "Have you studied literature?" I said, "Yeah, I did Macbeth for my O levels." And he said, "Oh, Macbeth." He said, "Oh, okay, I'm doing Macbeth." He's redoing his O level and he did Macbeth for his O level. He said, "Can we discuss about Shakespeare during Macbeth during lunchtime?" So every lunchtime, I used to sit with him, and his name was then Corporal. He was Corporal, Corporal York, and we discussed Macbeth. And later I realized he could have been humble. He was humble. He was able to ask me. He was honest, but he could also have a chip on his shoulder and say, "I am British. Why should I bring myself down to talk to a local about Shakespeare, who's British as well?"
Mm.
So that humility sent me a message, and I said, "Okay, no matter where you are, how you are, that should be back of your mind, humility." These are the two lessons I learned from that.
And these are such wonderful stories.
Yeah.
So your memories of the British are generally quite positive.
Yeah, I don't think so. I ever had any negative impression about it. In fact, the there's another guy. Well, I'm not very really good at drawing, but I could sketch a bit and all that. And he
Mm.
says he's doing a birthday. Now he's having a party at his place in Sun Gardens. He said, "Can I come along? Can you come along?" I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And then he said, I was still, 20, maybe less than 20, 19. So he said, "Can you do me a favor? Can you sketch me a beautiful face of a lady, So, on a Vanguard sheet. Those days they've got big Vanguard sheets. And he was my supervisor. So instead of working, I was sketching the artwork for him. So I gave it to him, and yeah, he invited me to his house for a party. So they were good. They never. I mean, I personally did not have any problems, whatever, from them. They were kind to me. They were quite caring. Uh, like I said earlier, I did some mistakes, as a youngster working. They said curiosity kills the cat. I had an experience when I was working in this 390 MU. I was testing a DE actuator, the equipment which moves the flight control of the aircraft. And I was curious to find out. The book says this is the maximum weight you can put and lift it. But I was curious as to how much more can it lift, you know. So when they all went for lunch, I stayed back and I did that. I put on weight after weight and moved up, down. And at one point in time, it ceased. It did not move up, neither down. So I tried all sorts of things. I couldn't bring it back to its neutral ground. So when my chief tech, the one who was supervising me in the lab, came back, immediately I told him, I apologized to him, and I told him what I did. So I was curious to find out. But unfortunately, this happened. So he came, he did his best, couldn't do anything. He dismantled. He said, "Okay, help me." So I helped him to dismantle the object. And he got a replacement from UK. And never did he ever reprimand me. But he said, "You must learn from this mistake. If the book says that, follow the book. Otherwise, you'll find out why from the manufacturer, why it cannot lift more than what the book says." So these are simple things they teach you, it did not instill any fear in me. And then later I did learn all this became a learning lesson to me. So overall, I had a very good impression with them.
These were such valuable lessons at a young
Yes,
age.
definitely, yes.
That's
Probably that could have
that's when
molded me.
you remember the most, right?
Yes, yes.
How
I
was it? Was there any change when you switch over to the RSAF? I mean, in terms of the working culture, the working environment.
RSA was totally different. And I mean, you can't blame them. They were also trying to get their footing right, you know. Although we had advisors from other countries, some countries I can't mention, but we also had advisors from British Air Force, which is in the book as well. Although slightly different, I think in terms of culture, we were quite similar to the RAF, quite similar. There's a bit of Asian element in there, but because most of them who joined the RSAF then as ADC were all formerly from the RAF, either from RAF Malaya or people who worked in RAF, Seletar or Changi or Tengah. So the culture was there, but uh, because we were in our infancy stage, we can't take the type of risk they took. We have to be very cautious. We can't afford to make mistakes. So the difference was we took less risk.
Would the workload also be different? With also much more hectic, heavier workload?
Yeah, I think it could be a cultural problem.
Mm.
I've seen even the British, even today, they they have got time for other things in life. Entertainment, social. Um, when they say 8 to 5 means it's 8 to 5. Whereas within RSAF, although they don't say you have to work long hours, it's probably it's our culture to say that if you can do whatever you can do today, do it today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't procrastinate. Do it so that tomorrow will be a free day for you. So probably this culture could have set into our DNA.
I suppose that
So we spend.
RSAF Tengah, you would have been promoted. You would have done different things, more senior things. Is that right?
Yeah, along the way I got promoted and into management role. So you're given options to make certain decisions, and you're lucky we got some good comrades there, very, very good, excellent bosses and comrades as well. One of them, until today, I respect him a lot. He was the one who wrote a preface to my book. Great man, great, great leader.
What's his name?
And Mr. Tay Kok Khiang. In fact, I don't know, when the British advisors were with us, advising us, one of them, a very senior man, told me, he said he has worked in RAF, he has worked with the Singapore Air Force, and he said Mr. Tay is one of the best engineering officers that he has ever seen. So he compared him to his former RAF engineering officers, and he said he's one of the best. So I think I don't have to say more than that.
Right. I mean, in your view, in your memory, what was so unique and special about him?
He gives you the freedom, and you know that he is 110% behind. If you fall, he will support you. He will never fall on the ground. He's there for you. He's not only he's for everyone. He's a true, caring gentleman. Great man.
So he was a engineering officer.
That's right, yes. And eventually he became head logistic of the Singapore Air Force.
He became what? Sorry?
Head air logistic. That means he was in charge of all the maintenance aircraft engineering divisions in RSAF.
I think probably we'll need another episode to talk about your long career at RSAF and Tengah and subsequent work as well. But I want to go back to Jalan Kayu. So when you began to work and working life began for you, family as well, were you still staying at Jalan Kayu?
Yes. I was staying in Jalan Kayu until 1974. But a lot of development took place and we were moving around kampung houses, and people started moving into HDB estates, for the development. So, yeah, I was staying in Jalan Kayu until I moved out in 19. It was in end of 74 or beginning of 75. Oh, no, I would say beginning of 75.
Right. And this is, of course, the tail end of the British pullout from Singapore.
Yes. In fact, they already pulled out by then,
They pull out by then already, yeah?
Yes.
Do you still remember the first time you heard the news that the British were leaving?
I heard about it. I can't remember exactly when, but I was in 390 and we heard that the British are pulling out because my chief tech was a RAF proper service personnel. Normally, chief tech is a chief technician. He's the one in charge, and normally above him they've got a flight sergeant and one officer. They were telling that they'll be moving, and some of them will be repatriated back to UK soon. Their terms of tour will be cut short. So we heard about it. And we were wondering what's going to happen to us as well. Yeah, I was in Seletar 390. We were also told that they will move us around to other areas where they need the manpower until such time alternate employment can be sought. So yes, I heard it.
I know in Sembawang Naval Base, a lot of the Malayalis, the Indians left. because they were British citizens. Was that an option for your family?
No, because not for my family, but those who worked in RAF Seletar, so long as you work there for 4 years and more,
Mm.
you're given an option. You can go to UK, they give you a British passport. At the same time, they try and get you a job over there, you know. And normally the job is in either Ford or postal services. And they did offer that. Some of my friends took that option and left. Some family members, if you are married, the whole family are given that chance. If you are single, you alone get given that chance. So some of them did go. Um, Whether they made the right decision, I'm not so sure. In hindsight, some of our friends in later years, because of winter, the cold, they did share their, their regrets that they should not have made the decision.
Yeah, right. Some of them would have left because they didn't think Singapore would offer a good future for them.
Yeah. I mean, in the early 70s, things were, I mean, we were still living in probably a third world country, trying to come out of it. But I remember there was one visit in 390 ME. I was there, and the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew came to the base. He went through the 390 ME electrical bed I was working in, right through and all that. At that point in time, we did not realize the vision he had, and neither did we realize the first G leader's vision then. But thank God now we're okay today.
Yeah. What was your view at the time? Did you believe in Singapore at the time? Did you know?
No, I don't think so. I was matured enough,
Mm.
you know, because I was only in my 20s, so I was still a youngster. To me, if I get another job, I'll get another job. Although I did had an offer, uh, I had an option to join Singapore Airlines because they were also looking for people with the aviation background, and also had an option with Shell. So I thought getting another job may not be a difficult thing for me, I thought. So I didn't think very seriously what's going to happen next.
Tell us how did Jalan Kayu change as a result of the British pullout?
I think those affected, I would say, economically, because they were basically very reliant on British personnel, were the shops which were more or less catering for them, catering for them. So I think they felt the pinch. And second, when just about the same time, when redevelopment started to take place, people were being settled. The shops were the badly affected ones,
Mm.
and people from the kampungs were all resettled. Most of them in the earlier batch in Jalan Toa Payoh, very few. Those in Seletar and Jalan Kayu, but majority of them were settled in Ang Mo Kio. So when they moved out to these satellite towns, in the shops, most of the shops were affected because there were no people there to support them, and they started to demolish them. The markets and all
Mm.
moved on.
Were you one of the last families to leave?
No, because they were still there when I got married and moved out in 74.
Right.
But people were still staying there for a year or two, then they all moved out. But some families moved out much earlier than us. When I say I asked my parents,
Mm. Right. And this happened to all the villages, that were outside the British bases, isn't it? Changi village, Chongpang village.
yes, I think most. In fact, probably I think the greater development was, I would say, Seletar and Changi. I'm not sure about Sumbawa. Naval base could be as well, but definitely Seletar was before Tengah, slightly
Mm,
before Tengah.
right. And all these villages sort of, would you say they declined, and they began to diminish?
Yeah, I think it's a gradual because there's no one there to patronize.
Mm,
Since the people are not there, the shops are not patronized, except for one or two eateries, food shops like Tay Kok Khiang and all, they used to be there, restaurants and all. But most of the other commodity shops, groceries and provision and all that, they all moved out.
So if we go to Jalan Kayu today, what are the remnants? Is there anything that still reminds you of those days?
I would say the double-story building. I mean, those days of 50s, double-story buildings. And anything after that, then none of the shop houses are there. And those below south, which is south of the double-story buildings, are all new buildings. So that doesn't really remind me of the old Jalan Kayu.
The shop houses are still around? Are they still around?
Yeah, they're still around,
Mm. But none of
but
the.
these were built in the 60s, in early 60s,
Okay,
mid to late 60s.
right. But none of the businesses are still around.
Oh, the businesses are in these new shops. There's a paint job. I think there's a shop selling kuta, a couple of bakote restaurant. There's a Jerry restaurant, Western restaurant, paint shop, egg shop selling eggs now,
Do you mean
wholesalers.
they were around in the 60s and they are still around today?
No, 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 no. Some
Hmm.
they all new owners, new
New
proprietors.
owners. Right.
Yeah.
Uh, the businesses that moved out, did they continue their business elsewhere for some time?
Not I know of, because I really think some from the market stalls and all that, they moved to Seletar Hills. They demolished the market, they built a market in Seletar Hills. Some moved there, but when this market was demolished in Seletar Hills, they all moved out. So I can't recollect anyone
Hmm.
took their business elsewhere.
Where did your Cantonese neighbor move to?
Well, the one I don't know job from there. The one was my immediate neighbor.
Hmm. Right. It was quite hard to keep in touch with your
Yeah,
former
those days, yeah,
neighbors.
correct, yeah, yeah.
Did you ever find any of them on like Facebook or?
No, no, I don't follow the Facebook because sometimes you get a lot of, unwanted elements there. So
Right.
I'm not in Facebook.
Right.
But
Oh,
no,
yeah.
you're right, it's difficult to come. But I did manage to find another Cantonese family friend in the course of writing the book.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, right? When your book was published, did people contact you or did people say, we used to be neighbors?
Um, some of them I think didn't. I think they didn't call, they send me a message, or they come to get the book and they say, who are you? I'm so and so's daughter, or so and so. So sorry, small world.
Mm.
The children, the parents say, oh, I know this person, please get a book. Yeah, they do. Few of them did come and contact me.
You have done a book launch, obviously. Right?
Yes, I did. After I wrote the book, I did this launch in ST Aerospace because I
Okay.
was working there, and the Mr. Tay Kok Khiang, who was then the president of ST Aerospace, just retired from ST. I did make arrangement to have it launched at ST Aerospace by Riba.
Were there former residents? Were they there? Some of them there.
Yeah, yeah, some came and they never heard about it. They came down to the. Some of the employees are currently employed there. Used to stay in Slater Wheels and all. They came over. Some of my
Mm.
former working colleagues who were there. They also pop in.
Yeah, I mean, your book is important, not just as reading material, but also as a way to for people to
It's a
connect.
reference book. Yeah, yeah,
Right. Yeah. And hopefully also I think we will be able to find other, the podcast to help to connect some of your former residents and neighbors as well. Sembawang has a very rich and active memory group on Facebook.
yeah, yeah.
And there should be one as well for all the other British bases, including Seletar.
In fact, the Seletar, RAF Seletar and Tengah Association, based in UK, they have their own network, but locally don't have.
Yeah, I saw on the website that when you were writing the book, you worked with association, isn't it?
That's right. Yes, yes,
Yeah, sometimes I feel that the servicemen, the expats, have as much memory of Singapore as the locals, isn't it?
yes, yes. In fact, they may have more because they do travel to see the places,
Yeah.
whereas Singaporeans tend to stay put in where they are.
Yeah, I think the episode that I did with Gerald Chandran, who lived in Ulu Sembawang, Jalan Sembawang Kecil,
Uh-huh.
the episode became quite popular because of the
Joe
British.
Chandran, is it Joe Chandran? No,
Joe
right?
Chandran from Customs,
Oh, no, no, okay, I don't know him.
right? Yeah, so actually, most of the people interested in that episode were the British, I think, more
Yeah,
than the
right, right, yeah.
Singaporeans.
I still have got orders for the book coming from UK as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, your book was launched what a few years ago?
2 years back.
2 years ago. That was during the pandemic, right?
No, no, after the pandemic,
Ah,
this year, last year, 2022, August, the book came out.
mm.
So, 22,
How long did you spend writing it?
about a year and a half during the lockdown.
Oh, it's really written recently.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Did something spur you to write?
Um, in fact, two things. One was, just retired a year or two before that, 2 years before that, a bit restless, especially with lockdown, you can't move out, you can't do anything. Second is when I speak to my grandchildren about Jalan Kayu and all, they want to know more, but then I realized nothing is written down. And people, the estate that I'm staying in, did encourage me to say, why don't you write something about Jalan Kayu? So I said to myself, writing about Jalan Kayu without writing about RS it will not jump because Jalan Kayu was very dependent on RS.
Mm,
The growth was very dependent on RS. So I thought I will do that together, at least try and put it down, and hopefully it reaches the masses. People will be curious to know more about this place. So that's what encouraged me to start writing. And I did had some challenges as well along the way, but
mm,
thank God, Waihan publisher,
mm.
she helped me out. She was very encouraging as well. So managed to get the book out.
What were kinds of feelings that you had, writing the book? It's been you're remembering events from 50 years ago, 60, 70 years ago. What were the feelings that went through you?
It's something like a yo-yo type of feeling.
Mhm,
Sometimes you do your research and you start to write, you realize that that particular period was very unhappy period for you, especially when we were all told to move out from the kampong houses,
mm,
moving to places where trying to get drinking water was a problem, was a problem. So those, when I start writing, those were painful memories. But at the same time, when certain things fall in place, when you see the end result, you feel encouraged. and especially when you get good comments for research, and also the support given to me by RAF Seletar Tengah Association. It was very encouraging. But on the same token, I did seek people who stayed in this area, Jalan Kayu, if they have photographs of old Jalan Kayu or Seletar to extend to me, but there were some were reluctant. We knew they had it because we knew the father used to go around and taking photographs and all that. They were reluctant to give. So there was the downside
Right. These are
to,
locals or British.
no, not local. I don't think so there was any British that I dealt with ever rejected my request.
Mm.
Hmm.
The book cover photo, that's from the association?
Yes, it is from them.
Okay.
It is from them. It was taken in 1952. And diagonally opposite down here was where our kampong was.
Yeah.
That was the reason why I put that photograph there.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, did your family ever take old photos during those days?
No, no. Those days when I asked most of them, the typical simple answer was we had no cameras then,
Mm.
No one had cameras.
Right.
Very few, very, very few.
You planning to write a second book?
No, no, it's
It's
quite,
just one
quite,
and a half years, probably. You can do it.
I don't know, I don't know. I was toying with the idea, but then
Yeah.
I must have a very good team. And I prefer non-fiction to fiction.
Mm.
But you need to do a lot of research. So I don't know. At this point, I will not totally rule it out. But at this point in time, I don't know. Unless I've got a very strong storyline which
Yeah. Maybe the
people can.
RSAF days, your boss.
No, I think a couple of books has been written about them,
Mm.
although most of them are Victoria.
Mm.
So I do not want to duplicate the effort. I I think I'll leave it there. I did write about RF layer because I was told that nobody has written anything about them. So I wrote it. But RF, RSAF, I think there's a couple of books. So
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. I just have one last question for you, right? Which
sure,
is
sure.
so much change in Jalan Kayu over the years. Um, what do you think is the heritage of Jalan Kayu?
I would say soft and hard. I hope people don't take offense to what I'm going to say. Because many, many years ago, I did write, can't remember exactly to which organization it was then, many years, is to preserve Jalan Kayu, not every part of it, just the main road stretching from about 100 meters and 50-meter either side, just enclave it and keep that old building, redevelop everything around it, but just keep it and keep the old history alive. Now, when you walk in, the history of Jalan Kayu will invite you. You can see those places. I did mention that, I can't remember which SHP report I wrote to. This could be about 40, maybe even before that, 40 years ago, maybe longer than that, maybe longer. I did mention about that place
Mm.
and also mention about Changi because I used to visit Changi as well. I did mention about the 3 bases to preserve and Chompang village. I put that down as well. I still remember writing that, but thankfully now certain parts are being preserved. That's good because heritage is history about the nation. So I think we should keep part of it. Although we are a land scarce country, try ways and means to preserve it. And the heart, although part of Jalan is being preserved, although they have destroyed the old shop houses, the new shop houses, the later shop houses are still there. I hope they can convert the double-story building, which is unused now, into a museum,
Mm.
Jalan Kayu Museum. and get people to contribute their artifacts, old photographs, whatever it is, to convert that building into an artifacts area. And I also like to suggest those days there was a lot of cherry trees around. I don't know whether you cherry trees in along the roads form as a shelter for the Starbucks stores. Hopefully they will plant these heritage trees within that premises area so that whole area becomes Jalan Kayu, and you can have your information counter outside like a Starbucks store, do in such a way that it is an information counter and people can go in and see what Jalan Kayu was that they can do that. So I think that is the hard part of Jalan Kayu they can preserve if they wish to. The other one, which to me is Jalan Kayu, is how the people who live in Jalan Kayu and the kampung spirit, even today, can be seen in people who have left the place. Last year, I was invited to give a brief speech about Jalan Kayu to the residents of Jalan Kayu and
Mm.
Jalan Kayu residents,
Mm.
organized by Jalan Kayu CCRCC. And when I spoke about Jalan Kayu, you can see the response from the people who stayed in that region, and you can see the glow in their face and how happy they were to hear about old Jalan Kayu. So that is, I don't know how it can be preserved. So you can put all this stunning commentary, you can put together and record it and leave it in this double-story building. When people come, they can
Mm.
just play it and hear it. That is my two requests for Jalan Kayu.
I couldn't have said it better myself. The heart and the soft heritage of Jalan Kayu. The double-story building is currently unused. Is that right?
Unused, that's right,
Okay,
that's right.
that's quite strange. Right?
Yeah, it's fenced off. I
Mm.
don't know what the plans are. Hopefully, some common sense will prevail to keep our heritage there.
Yeah, and time is not on our side, right? You don't know what would happen to these buildings, shop houses.
So I don't know about it, whether it is, I don't know whether on your side you're able to do that. If not, maybe on a separate note, you can let me know. I can write to the proper authorities and tell them my proposal, whether they need to accept or not, I don't know. And I'm just hoping this one you can edit it down. My book has been sent to the president.
Mm.
Uh-huh. I hope he reads it. They have that two other books written about Seta Hills and all that. They sent three books to him. One of them is my book. Hopefully he reads it. Hopefully it triggers him, and hopefully I get a chance to speak to him,
Mm.
and I'll share my view of this to him as a
Yeah,
heritage
yeah,
preservation.
yeah. The President Taman seems to be someone who recognizes the value of these things.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just hope something really works out
Yeah, I
from
think it's
this.
definitely a good idea to document more memories, more voices
Yes,
of
yes,
people
yes,
who
yeah,
used to
yeah,
live there.
yeah.
And your book is a beginning, and this podcast is a beginning also on YouTube, on social media. We hope
Thank
that
you.
the community can come back together to
Yeah,
relive those, that unique character of Jalan
yeah.
Kayu.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Charlie.
Yeah, yeah. You're most welcome. Thanks for the opportunity.
It's a
Take
real
care.
pleasure talking to you. I'll speak to
Mm.
you again. I'll connect with you again.
Yeah, sure. I'll WhatsApp my email and phone number to you.
Okay, that's great.
If,
That's
any,
great.
if anyone interested. Oh, you know my phone number, right? You do know
I have your number. I have your I don't
my
have your
email?
email. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
I'll
do
forward it
send
to
me
you.
your
Yeah,
email.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. We'll
Uh,
talk more again. I'll work
sure.
to edit the video and it should be out 1 or 2 weeks time.
Yeah, take your time. Go religious people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Talk to you again. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you.